Twister Talk with Gary, Sue, and Brandon starts now.
It's a twister! It's a twister! Back up! Back up! Back up!
Yes, it's Twister Talk. We're back again. I'm Gary.
I'm Sue.
And yeah, we're talking weather today. Why? Because it's been a crazy couple of weeks here, compadres.
It's been totally crazy.
It's been nuts of the last couple of weeks. So you had an interesting stat about that.
Yeah, I got some interesting stats about that. This is the most active 16-day tornadic period since May 17th to June 1st, 2019. And in fact, this is thought to be the 8th most active 16-day period for tornadoes on record. Now, the record is held by the Dixie Super outbreak.
Right. Yes.
But this one was number 8. The Dixie Super outbreak, the 16-day tornado count was 657, which of course is completely insane. For this particular outbreak, 267, which is still crazy.
Yeah, and once you get over 100, folks, you're entering into like, oh my God, territory. Think of the number that still that April, that whole 2011 just blows your mind.
Oh yeah, that's off the charts.
That was just crazy.
I really think that's, except for geographic cover, it was a bigger outbreak than the super outbreak.
Yes, it was. It was. Because
but it didn't cover as big a geographical area.
No, but the tornadoes in those areas are much more dangerous, and they were much stronger, and they did a lot more damage.
Oh, yeah.
The number of deaths over that 3-day period were larger than any other outbreak area that I can remember, with the exception of the tri-state tornado of 1925.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of damage and deaths in those storms. Of course, the super outbreak, nothing stands out either. But the fact is that this last couple of weeks here has been extremely active. Even in Ohio, it's been extremely active.
Yeah.
We're up to 55 tornadoes in Ohio.
Yeah, which is pretty close to our yearly record.
Right. And
this is only the beginning of May, folks.
Yeah. Fortunately, this coming week looks a little quieter weather-wise across the country.
Thank goodness.
Maybe later in the week there might be something, but for the most part, it's kind of...
I think one thing that stands out about this particular outbreak that we just had, first of all, there were 267 tornadoes. Only 2 were EF4s, and only 14 were EF3s.
Wow.
So a lot of these tornadoes were not particularly powerful, and thankfully the death toll appears to have been remarkably low, partly because I think the tornadoes weren't very well... A lot of them weren't very strong, but also because people paid attention.
They took the warning seriously and got to cover. Because we've had so many severe weather watches and so many days where things got kind of crazy, that people paid more attention, because they just knew that anytime they saw thunderstorms starting to build, they could become potentially supercells and severe. And we saw a lot of that. Even places that don't have tornadoes, a lot of damage from wind damage, flooding rains, even some lightning.
Huge hail.
Huge hail, some lightning area. I saw a video the other night to somebody holding hailstone. It had to be about 5 inches in diameter.
Yeah, I think the
that
largest...
was from Texas.
Yeah, the largest hailstone from this outbreak, I think, was 6.25 inches, which is immense. It was just off the record, apparently.
Right. That also, I believe, was in Texas.
Yes.
Texas.
Everything is bigger in Texas.
You got that right. Yeah. Well, I did a little checking about that, and it seems, Sue, looking at that, those storms are towering over almost 60,000 feet in the air.
That doesn't surprise me, and that's the kind... They must have had monster updrafts, too.
And monster updrafts, and that causes huge hail.
Yeah.
And again, they're reminding people that hailstones that large will fall at over 125 miles an hour.
Yeah, they will kill you.
You could die, and they definitely, unfortunately, do a lot of damage to roofs and cars and everything else. So.
They kill livestock?
Yeah. People forget that sometimes. Yeah. There's been pretty sadly a lot of livestock in major hailstorms. There was that one in Nebraska in 1969, huge hailstorm, and this said killed over 10,000 cattle and about 1,000 horses and everything else, and chickens and pigs and everything. It devastated a lot of people's livelihood.
Well, it would.
And the hail swath was about, I'm trying to remember here exactly, it was about 10 miles wide.
That's a big hail swath.
Yeah, it was one of those rare supercell occurrences, no tornadoes, but the hail was just off the charts. Yeah. Storms ran about 65,000 feet.
God knows, certainly the livestock were on their own.
It's just sad. It's sad. There's no shelter from something like that. But Sue, let's take an overview of some of what's been going on the last couple of days with. Let's start with Oklahoma, if you don't mind, and take a look at what happened there, because it's been crazy.
There were a couple of significant tornadoes, particularly on May 6th. Now, the thing that's interesting about the May 6th outbreak is a lot of chasers called this a blown forecast, ignoring the fact that the Storm Prediction Center had said all day that the main event was going to happen after sunset.
And it did.
So after the storm chasers went home to lick their wounds and have their steak dinners and fuel up their chase mobiles or whatever they do, basically all hell broke loose.
That's right.
The town of Barnsdall and the city of Bartlesville were both badly damaged. Barnsdall is a small town, I believe about 1,000 people. Bartlesville is a bit larger. I think it's around 30 or 50,000. It is believed to be one single tornado. It began southeast of Hominy, Oklahoma. You have to love these wonderful American town names.
I love them.
Hominy, Oklahoma. It crossed Highway 20, snapping trees, breaking power poles. Then it moved into Barnsdall. It severely damaged a wax plant, which, of course, here's another effect of tornadoes people forget, is that people's jobs get very badly affected by
You
this.
wind up unemployed sometimes.
Well, yeah. And severely damaged or destroyed numerous homes on the east side of town. Several homes in a Will-built metal frame building suggested estimated wind speeds at the 150 to 165 mile an hour range, and one home suggested estimated wind speeds of 165 to 175, which is how this storm got an EF5 rating.
EF4?
Did
It's
I
okay.
just say EF5?
Yeah.
No, EF4, yes.
EF4, okay.
Thank goodness. It could have been a lot worse. The tornado moved across Barnsdall and continued on its merry way towards Bartlesville and struck the east side of that small city, caused a lot of damage to homes and businesses. And luckily, a squall line merged with the tornadic supercell and luckily ended the tornado's rampage on the northeast side of town. There was some talk about there being 2 tornadoes in that system. The radar data suggests that there was a additional tornado near the town of Dewey, but when they went to look at it, they didn't find any damage.
Well, that's thankfully for that there wasn't. And see, you talk about these. Well, they broke the forecast. No, they were accurate.
No, they were accurate.
Here's what happened though, and they mentioned this, that a lot of times these storms start out as discrete supercells, and what happens down the road, they eventually sometimes will merge into a huge squall line. Of course, those can still be damaging with heavy rains and wind damage and everything, and it does cut back the tornado probability somewhat. However, the good thing is it becomes a squall line, the tornado activity disappears. Again, still could be some severe, obviously severe weather with it, but you know what? It did happen quicker than they thought it would.
Yeah,
but they were right with the high risk.
Oh, yeah, and I was kind of disturbed at people whining about it.
Yeah, I read several accounts online. Well, I'm just so upset about this. I mean, you're not upset that there was not more destruction and people died? Golly. Sometimes as chasers, you kind of, I will tell you this, folks, if you're a chaser and you listen to us, if you have people that say those kind of things, you need to step back and have them take a good look at themselves. That's not what you're there for.
No.
That's not what you're there for. You're there to, if you want to chase, that's fine. If you spot, that's fine. But don't get all bent out of shape because, little tornado outbreak didn't happen.
Well, and the thing is, I think they forget that the Storm Prediction Center probably learns more from a blown outbreak than they do from one that turned out exactly the way they thought it was going to.
Right. This one it became a more linear event than they earlier thought it would. But you know what? Because there were more tornadoes the next few days. And we had some in Tennessee that were a problem. We've had some in Alabama. And we're talking
Michigan, too.
Michigan, too. Major tornado up in southern Michigan at one area up there that was just really
the one that struck Portage. It really
You're
pummeled
right.
that town,
Yeah.
and it pretty much demolished a FedEx shipping
There
warehouse.
you go. So if you were having it may have been there practically delivered overnight by the winds. So
Yeah, if your package is late, there might be a reason for
there
that.
might be a reason for it. And again, we had tornadoes here in Ohio again.
Yes, we did.
That's why we're becoming the tornado capital of the Midwest.
Yeah.
Indiana's jealous, but anyhow. But we had some tornado activity here, and I'm going to touch on just a couple of the highlights of the ones. near New Knoxville, that's in Mercer County, ended in Oglala County, and was rated an EF2, maximum wind speeds about 130 miles an hour. The path width was about 300 yards, and here's the saving grace. It only lasted about 6.5 miles. And so they did see evidence on that. They did track a damage path. It did cause significant damage, a lot of tree damage again in those counties. There were 2 houses near Southland Road by the county line that roof loss and partial wall collapse. Yeah. And the tornado then dissipated not long after, just west of State Route 66. So not too bad. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. The thing about most of these tornadoes, they were out in rural areas, so thank God for that.
Yeah.
Now, there was another tornado, actually an EF1, but it went through an area which I know very well, and that's Darke County and Greenville.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to talk about that a little bit because that wasn't as destructive as the others, but
they've had some nasty tornadoes up there. I mean, think about Arcanum several years ago.
And and this is I have a family that lives in Arcanum too. The tornado likely began near the intersection of Greenville and Nashville Road. I know where that is. Uh-huh. And New Madison Coal Town Road. Been on that many times over the years, where several trees are uprooted. The tornado continued northeastward, crossing State Route 502. That takes you right into Union City, Indiana, from Greenville. Minor damage to homes and trees was observed next on Daly Road, west of Greenville. The width of the tornado increased significantly as the tornado entered Greenville. Numerous trees were snapped or uprooted within the Greenville Union Cemetery. Now, my grandfather, after he worked and retired from Hobart Manufacturing, he worked at the Union Cemetery there cutting grass and everything, lawn maintenance. And so I remember those areas as well. Yeah. As the tornado continued to the north side of Greenville, the width remained large, expansive tree damage throughout the city. The majority of the wind damage to homes was fairly minor, with shingles and siding removed in many residences. The worst destruction in Greenville were trees, uprooted, and unfortunately, some trees and limbs came down on houses, damaging roofs and walls and cars. So, but I did notice that when I was looking at news reports the next day out of Greenville and Darke County. That's what I saw, basically a lot of tree damage. But I saw what I saw in other news reports. Guess what? People coming out and helping each other right away was really cool.
And that's a great thing.
That's the one thing, again, these awful weather events obviously cause a lot of issues, but man, the people that respond right afterwards, helping neighbors, even if they've had damage of themselves, it's still like, man, we're here to see what we can do. Yep. However, the last major story we'll talk about tonight was the pretty sad Alabama outbreak.
Yeah, they had a good number of tornadoes there, and a lot of damage, and again, a lot of it tree damage.
A lot of it tree damage, and there was a tornado emergency declared from the National Weather Service in Huntsville. Yeah. Issued a tornado warning for eastern DeKalb County and northeast Alabama. This was a tornado emergency at 11:24 p.m. that night. A confirmed by spotters an extremely dangerous tornado was located near Henniger, or 10 miles northeast of Fort Payne, moving at 35 miles an hour. This tornado did cause significant damage in Henniger, Alabama. Now, I've seen pictures of that area, and there is a lot of damage. There is definitely home damage that looks pretty intense. I would say probably EF4.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah. Wow. I saw it was EF4 damage there. Again, they're still working on that. Yeah. They haven't said for sure what it is, but the facts I saw, homes with the walls gone.
Yeah, that's a pretty good sign, unless it's like a manufactured home or something.
Right. And it even said you are in a life-threatening situation. Debris ball was observed with this tornado. Yeah. So pretty strong storm. It may be right now, they haven't said for sure, but my guess it would probably be an EF4 just because of the damage I saw in drone footage.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But again, northern Alabama had kind of a rocky night.
Yeah, they did. And then, of course, they had a lot of damage in Tallahassee, Florida as well.
Right. Very strong winds, a couple of confirmed tornadoes in that area. Flooding rains. And that was a problem in Alabama after the severe weather went by. It rained most of the night. Yeah. And so places that maybe have been spared winds or hail or tornadoes wound up getting flooded. Yeah. So there are flash flood warnings in effect for many of those areas.
Just one thing after another.
It's been a crazy month, I tell you.
It's been totally crazy.
In fact, it's been kind of nuts since March. Since the middle of March, we've just been rocking and rolling, not only here in Ohio, but everywhere else. It's just been crazy.
I'm kind of concerned. what's the rest of the season going to look like?
I don't know.
If we're getting started, like there's nothing. I don't think there's anything really in the offing for the next 4 or 5 days. But you really have to wonder. And of course, there's a very disturbing development.
Mm-hmm.
In that our dear friends at X, which
Yes.
used to be called Twitter before it was bought, have decided that they are no longer going to carry National Weather Service warnings.
Yeah, this is very interesting because I did confirm this with several different sources. National Weather Service offices across the U.S. are responsible for issuing watches and warnings and advisories of severe weather events, such as tornadoes, severe storms, and other occurrences. In states, they are no longer allowed to post all warnings in real time due to X/Twitter limiting their automated tweets. Again, this is from Huntsville. Twitter is now limiting automated tweets. As a result, this account can no longer post all watches, warnings, and advisories as they are issued. We'll continue to provide updates, but ensure that you have multiple means of receiving weather info and alerts. Thank you. You can put nutsy politics stuff up there. You can put porn actresses advertising their wear and everything else, but by God, don't put anything up about tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings.
That seems to be a very dubious decision.
That's another amazing thing about social media. Social media and sometimes will do everything they can to undermine the fact that certain things need to be disseminated. They just don't like it. I mean, that's all I can say. Facebook gets funky sometimes, and now Twitter, X or whatever
he's calling it
this week, and Instagram has their own little issues, and it's just nuts, folks. And like we say, have a weather alert radio and have a cell phone. That way, at least you get some warnings that'll happen.
Do not rely on Twitter, X, YZ, whatever the heck it's called.
If you're counting on those for warnings anyway in the first place, even when they were broadcast, that's not a reliable source because and now it's even shown it's less reliable than before. So that's where we're at with that. And I think that's absolutely insane. But then again,
what do we know?
What do we expect? What do we expect? I'll just be honest. What do we expect but idiocy from social media? And by God, they deliver it more times than not.
Yeah.
But Gary, you guys are on social media. That's right, we are. And you know what? I love where we're at with Twister Talk, and I love that people support us and listen to us and everything else. But if you think they give me some general thumbs up about social media, you're wrong. You're wrong. But anyway, I'll get off the soapbox. The next week does look a little quieter, thankfully, and we'll see what happens from there. But again, one never knows.
Yeah, because it's just been been crazy.
It could pick up again later in the week. Nothing in concrete right now, folks, but it may pick up again later in the week. So anyway, I think we've done all the damage we can do.
We did a lot of damage.
So again, we're looking at tornadic weather. The last couple of weeks have just been crazy, and we'll give you updates as they come down the pike and we get more of a confirmation about tornado speed, damage, and all the other things that everybody's going to get to.
Yeah, I think we'll probably do a more thorough summing up.
Yeah, because basically it might be the weekend too. Hey, it's the weekend. You want to check damage or go out and hit the beach? So.
Hit the beach.
All right. For Twister Talk, I'm Gary.
I'm Sue.
We'll see ya.
We're going to go hit the beach.
Bye.